You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming. It's Mounts the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with Let's Play episode of Angels With Scaly Wings, Adine's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go! Perfect timing. Alrighty, where were we? Good lord. It's been a whole damn month. Okay, let's do it. Alright. Not more than anyone else, I think. What's it like to actually live on campus? College in general is a pretty unique period of life, I'd say. Something I've noticed is that some people are not prepared for the independence they have when living on campus. You're given a chaotic schedule where you have nothing to do on some days, whereas on others you're kept busy with classes, homework, and other things that you have to do. With study buddies, roommates, and classmates, it's not really hard to make new friends. You also get to meet a lot of new people who share similar interests from taking the same classes or being in the same clubs. And don't forget about the dorms. So, all these people are always within reach, which can also be both good and bad. You could be tempted to hang out with friends when you should really be studying. For many people, it becomes the first taste of real freedom and independence. Some just handle it better than others, I suppose. That can be a problem with team projects, for example. There's always someone who ends up never showing up and not doing any part of the work. For me, it's not really a problem since I actually enjoy what I'm doing here. I don't mind the homework, and sometimes I read up on the subjects in advance so I don't get left behind. I've even corrected professors once or twice during a lecture. I think that wouldn't be a good idea with certain kinds of professors. Well, with ours, I was even allowed the privilege of giving a guest lecture for my own class once. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I was talking about. Come on, learning should be fun. It certainly is for me. I suppose being able to have that kind of attitude makes it a lot easier. It certainly does. Let's see if it keeps up once you have a few more semesters under your non-existent belt. Don't be so negative, and just for your information, I do have a belt at home. Besides, it's not as if I'm some sort of antisocial hermit who only focuses on his studies. I just know when to say no to my friends. Oh, really? Yes, we usually get together on the weekends and do some cooking together. People can only stand so much frozen food before they get sick of it, and eating out in the city can add up pretty quickly if you're not careful. I see. We rotate the cook every week, but apparently people are looking forward to when it's my turn. I've gotten a lot of compliments for my homemade mac and cheese. Now you're making me hungry. I bet they all miss it, but they'll get to taste it once again once summer vacation is over in a month or so. And in the meantime, you're just out here handing out flyers? Yep, it's good to help our college, and I can also save a bit in the process. It's certainly easier than trying to juggle a job and homework at the same time later on if things get tight. What were you studying again? Psychology. I see. Alright, go ahead and analyze me right now. It doesn't really work like that. I know, you just passed the test. Take it now. Water time. Oh, I know what you're getting at. Maybe I'll steal that test from you, though. It might be worth trying it out on a few people I know. Be my guest. On a more serious note, tell me something about what you're learning. What? Anything? I just want to get an idea of the subject and whether it's comparable to our own understanding of psychology. I see. Well, I could tell you about an old and very simplified model of our psyche that we got taught in introductory classes. Sounds good. Okay, so this model divides our psychic apparatus into three distinct parts, called id, ego, and superego. The id represents our most basic desires and instinctual drives. That is, our physical needs and wants, like hunger and thirst, as well as desires and impulses. Well, what's the difference? An impulse is more like wanting to lash out in anger, for example. The id seeks out immediate gratification for these urges. It is in conflict with the superego, which represents learned behavior like cultural and moral rules, and societal standards, the kind of stuff we learn from our role model like parents, teachers, or guardians. The superego is the part that forms our conscious and controls our sense of right and wrong. It seeks to uphold these standards to perfection, which most of the time goes against what the id wants at any given moment. You sound like you had to rote learn a lot of this. If those internalized rules are broken, this misbehavior is punished by the superego with feelings of guilt and shame. This way, we are compelled to behave in accordance to these rules even if the id tempts us to do otherwise. And in between these two conflicting parts of us, there's the ego who's trying to mediate. It represents our rational mind that seeks to please its drives in a way that doesn't harm us or goes against the superego's goals. However, it also serves another master, the external world. The ego includes all our decision-making and how we respond to external stimuli. Ultimately, it is the one calling the shots while trying to balance the needs of the id, the superego, and the external world. And there you have it, an outdated, simplified model of our psyche. It still serves as a good introduction, though. Thank you. I think I may have heard something about like that before. Why did you go to psychology in particular? I'm just interested in how people work, I suppose. It's also an incredibly diverse subject, and so are the potential jobs. Just being able to understand people is such a huge factor in many fields, and the skills you learn can come in handy in all areas of life, really. When people hear about psychology, most usually think of psychologists or psychotherapists, but they can also be counselors for communities and organizations, or researchers or teachers. You also see them teaming up with other professionals to influence every part of society. Just think about hospitals, courtrooms, prisons, even schools and universities. They can also become coaches for high-performance jobs where they work with CEOs, athletes, and performers of all kinds. Every institution, every business that works with people can profit from the presence of someone who has studied psychology. Take a meal. Water time. That's why you'll also find this kind of knowledge to be incredibly helpful even when you're a manager or in sales, because those jobs require empathy and an understanding of your client's needs. Understanding people is just something that can come in handy pretty much wherever you go, and that's what psychology is all about. Even in video games, psychology is a factor. Horror games are an obvious example, but also with tutorials of UI design and how people interact with your game. Psychology and player expectations are always going to be a factor. I think I get the idea. Out here, I think a lot could still be done to improve the image of the field, you know? What do you mean? There's a bit of a stigma to admitting that you need help, especially when you're doing fine physically. For them, it's a sign of weakness, so in order to preserve their image, they hide everything away. But locking away those feelings doesn't solve the problem. If anything, it only makes it worse. Is that something you'd like to work with? Excuse me. Excuse me. Me? Honestly, I don't know if I could tackle a big issue like that. It's good for me that psychology is such a diverse field because I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it yet, or what particular job I'd like to have after I'm done with my studies. I see. I think you still have plenty of time to figure that out. Yep. Before I came here for my summer job, I was interning at a psychotherapist's office for a month. I got to hear about some very interesting, also tragic cases. I thought I wanted to help people with issues like that, but sometimes it's pretty hard not to be affected too much by those stories, so I'm not sure if that's the right job for me. But you already like working with people, right? I don't know. Maybe intervening there was a little too close to the sun for me. If you didn't, why would you be the one to hand out the flyers? It's just like you mentioned earlier. Psychology comes in handy with sales and similar jobs where you have to interact with people. Handing out flyers is pretty similar to that, don't you think? I guess. You seem to be doing well enough with that. You're helping to bring your college and people together, and in this way you're helping both. And it's been a lot of fun, too. After all, I got to meet you and even got a glimpse of the portal. Who knows, maybe one of those people you handed a flyer will one day turn out to be famous for their work. No, I think that's a little too idealistic, but I get your point. It doesn't always have to be about big problems. Little problems need solving, too. Like what you're eating on the weekend. Huh, yeah! What about you, though? What do you mean? Well, I don't want to pry, but we've been talking all this time, and you know a lot more about me now than I do about you. Maybe you can't say anything about where you grew up or what you studied because it's top secret or whatever, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. Well, I don't like talking about myself all that much, and I think there are some things that are better left unsaid. I see. But if you're curious, I guess it's only fair I share a few things as well. You know, it's been fun talking about college. I already got my degrees a while ago. It was interesting to go hunting for jobs with my unusual combination of degrees, but I thought that would open a few doors. But before I got anywhere, our world underwent a few changes that made a lot of my jobs obsolete. It's been a rough time since then. Turns out those degrees came in handy after all, because in the end they enabled me to come here. If I consider all the good and bad that's happened here since my arrival, it's been a vacation compared to home. It looks like the vacation might come to an end soon. I don't know what's going to happen after that, and I can only hope my visit here will have started something that will mean change for our world, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I I shouldn't be such a downer, though. Sorry for bringing it up, but maybe that explains why I don't like talking about it. What's your professional opinion on this? So, you know. Well, in my professional opinion as a flyer distributor, I'd recommend a generous application of hugs, but that's just me. You look like you need them. Go for it. Give him a hug. I took a step forward, and I soon found myself being enveloped in the furry dragon's embrace. With him pulling me close, it felt like a giant furry blanket was all around me as the hairs tickled my exposed skin. After a few seconds we parted, he took a step back again. I hope things can be better for you in the future. I don't think I can do anything to help with that, though. I know, he preferred the little problems. It's getting dark. I should probably head out and look for a cave, or else I'll have to sleep in the streets. What are you talking about? Well, it seems like all the hostels are already full. Despite the vetting process for visitors, enough people got in to take all available short-term lodging spots in this town. Oh, really? Yeah, despite only a few people knowing your location or that of the portal, journalists and tourists are flocking to the town, hoping to catch a glimpse or at least find a clue of your whereabouts. That only leaves me with the option of finding or renting a cave for the night or sleeping in the streets. Not that I'd mind sleeping in a cave, but for someone like me, it's usually something for an adventurous weekend rather than a way of life, and rocks don't exactly make for the best bedding. Well, you can sleep here, man. Really? Yeah, there's plenty of room here, and it's kind of my fault that you couldn't find another place anyway. Well, I guess that means you don't share the officer's suspicions about me being a spy, then. Not really. You know, I could totally take this room apart while you're sleeping. You're not helping your case there. Besides, you won't really find anything special here. Hey, I'd keep an eye on that copy of Draconic Desire you've got on the shelf there. I might be tempted to snatch it when you're not looking. Like I'd mind. If you need something for bedtime reading, please feel free to help yourself. Oh, I will. You met with Kevin and learned a lot about city and college life. Congratulations. Well, there you go. Duty, Chapter 5. Oh, thank God, there's no body. Not yet. Alrighty, y'all. I am tired. I'm gonna get ready to hop on VR with my friends. Thank y'all so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!